You know what's scary? Realizing you're 50 with no retirement savings.
I have been in banking for 30 years, okay? And it's getting down to the 11th hour of moving into that next phase of my life, aka retirement. And I went and put pen to paper and did some math and was horrified to find that I have enough money to retire for about 11 minutes. And I began to realize that no one is coming to save me. I'm gonna have to figure this out for myself.
I did a video about ageism in the workforce for people, especially in their 60s. And many young people on here are saying, oh, they're not hiring them because they're going to retire soon. Saddest thing, guys. Many of them can't retire. A lot of them are going to be collecting Social Security. Social Security, look up what the average for Social Security is. Here, I'll help you. It's between this number and this number is the average for Social Security. Can you live off that much a month? This is not going to even cover most people's rent. Don't forget food, medication, and there could be a good chance by the time that you're 60, not even this is available for you. I know people who are extremely sick going into work after surgeries because they need to work just to have medical. So even though a lot of 60-year-olds are capable, sure, they would love to retire. Some love to work, but many are stuck in the cycle. They have to work till their last breath because this is not enough to live off of in the US.
A lot of people assumed that I retired. And the reality is that I did not retire. I took a new job and I will probably never be able to retire.
I feel like I am so far behind in retirement. I even think retiring at 80 is a dream for me right now. I'm not even joking. Early retirement, I feel like, is out the window unless I win the lottery.
Nurses are not eligible to retire until we're 67 years old. We have to work until we're 67 in order to receive full benefits. But they've blessed us with the opportunity for increased benefits if we work till age 70. Most of our patients are gone by age 70.
It's just crazy to me now that I go, be out or whatever, and I'm just starting to see a lot of senior citizens, retirees, right, in these jobs. Like the barista that was making my drink, she had to be in her 70s. Like,
I left my job at 62. A lot of people assumed that I retired. And the reality is that I did not retire. I took a new job and I will probably never be able to retire. I went through a divorce in my later 50s and had to start over. Even though I can't retire, what I can do is I can reinvent. I can reinvent myself as many times as I choose, as I need to, as I want to. And I just want to say that your job is not everything. And I do get that for some people, maybe it has to be at this point in time, as mine was. But there's so many different things that you could do to make your life a little more enjoyable and not be taken down by your job. And that was really what I did. I just took my power back and I found another job. And I just wanted to say that I think that we can all do this at any point in our lives. And I believe it, and that's how I'll live the rest of my life. And I don't even know if I would want to retire if I could. Well, I suppose it would be nice.
So she mentioned that she got divorced at the age of 55, I believe she said, and that's something called a gray divorce. And essentially what a gray divorce is when a couple gets divorced and they're over the age of 50. And apparently it's a growing trend. It's an unfortunate trend that's increasing. According to Google, a gray divorce, also known as a late life divorce, refers to the growing trend of couples over the age of 50 divorcing after many years of marriage. And the phenomenon is being driven by all these factors that you see here. And so what Warren Buffett said, and something you probably know as well, is that the most important decision that any of us are ever going to make is who we choose to marry.
Certainly, in terms of your personal life, the most important decision you'll make is the spouse that most of you will likely have. And it's very important to surround yourself with people that are better than you are. You are going to move in the direction of the people you associate with. I've just had teachers and friends and a spouse that really was a better person than I was, and I had enough sense to learn from these people that life went better if you behave better yourself.
Obviously, Warren Buffett is a guru when it comes to investing, and he's a financial wizard. But the number one thing he says that will make or break you financially is who you decide to marry. And this is a great example of that. She also mentioned at the end that she doesn't think that she would want to retire, which I hear a lot of people say as well. Like, what would I do? I'd be bored. What would I do? What's my identity going to be? But she also mentioned it'd be nice. So the whole idea is to be work optional, have the optionality, the availability to choose whether or not you want to retire, not have to be forced to continue working. Where in her situation, she's forced to continue working. And that's a situation that none of us really ever want to be in. But unfortunately, it looks like with the way things are going with the economy, that most of us will unfortunately be in that position to where we can't retire and we have to continue working.
Hi guys, I'm here at job number 1 for the week. And I just want to say that I feel like I am so far behind in retirement. I even think retiring at 80 is a dream for me right now. I'm not even joking. Early retirement, I feel like, is out the window unless I win the lottery. I just think that me getting cancer and going through all that entailed, the chemo, the radiation, the multiple surgeries, still having to go every 6 months to get checkups and to get an infusion, and then also going through a separation and a divorce back to back is like a double whammy for my finances. And I just feel like plus I was a stay-at-home mom for 7.5 years before me and my ex decided to split up and I had to go back to work. So, well, my ex, but I guess it was me too. I'm glad it happened, don't get me wrong, but it was definitely his choice initially, but now it's mine.
Okay guys, so she got hit with a triple whammy. Not only did she have health issues with cancer, which I'm super sorry for that. That's very unfortunate and it's sad to hear. She also was separated, again, divorce. We just talked about how that affects your finances. And third, she was a stay-at-home mom. And a lot of times, unfortunately, with stay-at-home mothers or stay-at-home spouses, a lot of times they're not bringing in money. So they're dependent in a way on their spouse. And so when they get divorced, if they don't receive alimony, or even if they do receive alimony, a lot of times it's not going to make up what they could get if they were in the job market that entire time and increasing their skills, increasing their knowledge. Because if they go back into the job market after being unemployed for say 10, 15, 20 plus years, they're not going to have the skills. They're not going to have that work muscle that you need to get paid a decent wage. So she got hit with 3 different things that just wrecked her financially. So for her, I can obviously see why she thinks she's never going to be able to retire.
I'll put down my numbers. I'm 43. Going to be 44 next month. And I just feel like retirement is so out of the realm of, I just don't know. I was an idiot. I was an idiot and I focused a lot of my time and energy on building his career. And I was like, it's fine. Because once the kids are in school, it'll be my turn and we'll work on me. And that didn't happen. And that sucks. But I can be a victim, or I can put my big girl panties on, which I do every day as a single mom, working 2 jobs, 7 days a week. And I can start really focusing on me and my retirement and my future. And also I got 2 kids that I want to at least help with college. Maybe not put them through all the way, but help them. I don't know. Help me, guys. Help me.
So I hate to break it to her, but the idea of retirement for her does seem like it's a pipe dream at this point in time, especially if she's talking about wanting to help her kids pay for her kids to go to college and she's talking about retiring. Honestly, she needs to focus on other things. And again, I'm not trying to sound harsh here. She even said it herself. That's the point of her video. She thinks it's not going to happen. And unfortunately, I'd have to agree with her. Let me know in the comment section what you think. But it's just that she suffered a series of unfortunate events. So because of that, she's in this unfortunate situation. Again, I don't take any satisfaction in saying it, but it just seems like that's what it is. Most people that are in better situations than she is can barely retire. Talking about couples that stay together, have a paid off home, maybe have some money put away in a 401k or 403b or Roth IRA or whatever. Even people like that are somewhat struggling or maybe don't know if they can retire or not, let alone someone in her position. So, and she's fairly young. She's a Gen Xer. She's 42. The first person was 62, so she's a baby boomer. So 2 different generations, but the same scenario, and it's just unfortunate.
Nurses are not eligible to retire until we're 67 years old. We have to work until we're 67 in order to receive full benefits. But they've blessed us with the opportunity for increased benefits if we work till age 70. Most of our patients are gone by age 70. The military, they get to retire after 20 years of service. The police, they get to retire after 20 years of service. Firefighters, they get to retire after 25 years of service. And teachers, they get to retire after 30 years of service. Of just those 4 professions that I've mentioned, all 4 of them have some form of protection. The police, it's obvious. The military, it's obvious. Firefighters have protection in order to do their job. There are efforts made to protect teachers, other staff, students. I get really angry when I think.
She mentioned the 4 professions there, and I know for a fact that these 4 professions share something in common. I'm not quite sure about firefighters, but I'm certain about the other 3. Military, police officers, and teachers all have pensions. I used to work in a school system for many years. I know I don't look look that old, but many years. And what I had an ability to join a pension as well, even though I worked in administration. And all the teachers had the ability to join into a teacher's pension. Same with police officers, they get pensions. Same with the military, obviously they get pensions, and they get veterans benefits as well. So all those three professions, and as they rightfully should, do not get me wrong at all. As for firefighters, I'm not familiar with that, whether or not they get pensions or some kind of, I'm gonna assume they do. You know what? Let's consult Google to confirm. So according to Google, yes, firefighters generally receive pensions as a form of retirement income. These pensions are often part of a defined benefit plan. So a defined benefit plan is different than a defined contribution plan. There's two different ones. Defined benefit means that when you retire, you're guaranteed to get a certain amount in perpetuity, or for however long the pension says. Defined contribution means you put in a set amount each month or however often. So a lot of times nowadays, what companies do is they give you defined contribution plans. Think 401k. Every time you get paid, a percentage of your check goes to that account, and that gets invested into the stock market, and it's managed in that employer-sponsored account, right? That's defined contribution. But when you retire, the money you get is not guaranteed. Depends on what the market's doing. It depends on what you decide to do. You might get an annuity. You might cash it all out, which please don't do. Well, I'm not giving financial advice. And then defined benefit is where you graduate. You leave your job, you get your pension, and you get a certain amount every month as a check. And that's the old way of doing it that a lot of companies don't do anymore. And a lot of times, the only way you get those type of things is if you work in career fields like she mentioned: military, firefighter, police officer, teacher. But pensions are going the way of the dinosaur, like Tyrannosaurus Rex. They are done. So she's spot on with that one. And unfortunately, I don't know, nurses don't get that same benefit. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm gonna be honest, I think that it's a career field that probably deserves it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I think if you're a nurse, I think that you do a job that's similar to that of, it's a service field, and it's a dangerous job as well. So yeah, I think that they should get pensions as well.
Think about this, because as nurses, we don't have any form of protection. We are expected to be abused. We are discouraged from filing a police report. Actually, they'll find a way to fire us if we try to do that, because they're not going to look like they didn't try to protect their nurses and their patients. And then if we are assaulted, we get asked, what could you have done differently? And during the assault, we're told to de-escalate. I'm like, how does the military de-escalate the enemy? How do the police de-escalate the criminal? What form of protection are firefighters allowed to wear in order to protect themselves? Typically, when the fire department is called, the police are dispatched as well. And schools have police officers on their campus, police officers with weapons. We come to work with a pair of scrubs. That's it. And we can't leave this profession until we're 67 in order to receive full benefits. And if they convince us to stay until we're 70, we can get increased benefits. 70 years old.
Okay, guys, so two really big points there. First, she's comparing the fact that nurses experience an increased level of risk in their profession. Not only biohazard risk, think poking from a needle, but also safety risk. And this is across the spectrum, especially let's say if you work as a psychiatric nurse and you're dealing with people who have mental disturbances, and let's say that one of them attack you, right? Where is their protection? That's what she's saying. All these other professions that she's comparing the nurse field to, as she mentioned, they have protections built in. But for nurses, it's not there. If you go into a hospital, where are the protections at? Now, a hospital's a bit different. They have security there. But if you're working, let's say, in a managed health facility, or you're working in a nursing home, which is a little bit different, obviously, or if you're working in, a doctor's office where you might have irate patients, or even in hospitals, like I mentioned, it's not the same level of protection that nurses get that these other professions get. So that's a very, very valid point that she brings up. Now, when she's talking about the retirement age, she's talking about Social Security, I believe, because when it comes to Social Security, there's a minimum age at which you can retire and start to receive benefits. And the earlier you retire at that minimum, you only get a certain percentage. Whereas if you retire at the later age that they offer you to retire, then you get the maximum benefit. So I believe that's 70. So at 70, and it depends on when you were born as well. If you were born before certain years earlier, if you're born after a certain year, then it's later. And so for a lot of people now, especially if you're not a boomer, you're definitely going to be in that bracket to where you have to be 70 to get full benefits. Otherwise, if you retire early, say 65, you're only eligible for maybe 75%. I'm just making this off the top of my head, but that's how it works. So that's what she's talking about. She's talking about Social Security, not a pension, not a 401k, not a 403b. Another thing too, think about this. If you're a nurse, you're doing a very labor intensive job. Some of them, not all. Thinking about a nurse in their 70s is kind of like, in your 70s as a nurse, depending on the type of work you do as a nurse, I mean, it doesn't really seem like something that you'd want to be doing or would even be safe for you to be doing necessarily from a physical standpoint.
It's just crazy to me now that I go, be out or whatever, and I'm just starting to see a lot of senior citizens, retirees, right, in these jobs. like the barista that was making my drink, she had to be in her 70s. Like, but anyway, she had like messed up. Cause you know, I be ordering the drink and you gotta do this, you gotta do that, whatever. But she messed up or whatever. And the younger guy, there was just two of them. So it was like a younger guy that was at the register, and then it was the barista, older woman. So when I was like, oh, they forgot to add, you know, I like to get a little bit of extra syrup, and then they forgot to add it, which everybody does that. When I order my lavender drink, I always add 2 extra pumps, and for some reason they take out the simple syrup and they just add the 2 vanilla pumps, and it's like, no, I want the simple syrup and 2 extra vanilla pumps. Anyway, so she forgot that, which is normal. Like, I go to different Starbucks, they always forget it. So the guy, he was like correcting her, and he was like showing her like where he marked it and all that. She was like, oh, I'm sorry. So I felt so horrible, and I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. You can just put the syrup in the drink you made. You don't have to make it over. So he was like, no, we're making it over because it's not gonna blend right or whatever. She was like, no, I'll make it. But she had to been in her 70s, and you know, but I don't know. I'm thinking she like in her 70s. She was a retiree. I don't care. She was a retiree. But my point is that that's sad. Those jobs are really supposed to be for, like, you know, the youth, younger folks, you know, just getting into the workforce or whatever. But my point I'm making is that goes to show you that all these older senior citizens have to go back out and get a job. I can't imagine my mom would be 77. I cannot imagine her being a barista at Starbucks because she has to find or has to have extra money to live. That's my point here. It's like, I felt so horrible.
All right, so here's the thing. There is a situation where you have to work at that age, a situation where you choose to work at that age. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. If you are in a position where you can retire comfortably, but you're bored, that's why you see some people who are older working as greeters or Walmart, or working as baristas at Starbucks, or working as, you know, they volunteer, or, you know, they do something to get out of the house because they don't want to just sit around and waste away. And there are statistics showing that a lot of people who retire and don't do much when they retire, they tend to expire sooner than those who stay active. So it may just be one of those situations. So every time I see an older person who's working at one of these jobs, that's my thought. I think to myself, I was at the store the other day, actually. I was at a store, it's called, I think, it was Walgreens. And there's a lady there, very nice. Every time I go in there, she greets me, shows me a lot of, you know, we have a good relationship, if you will. I never asked her why she's working. I'm curious, but I don't ask directly. She said things that made me think, okay, she probably has to work, but I'm not sure. Older woman, probably late 50s, early 60s. And I just wonder. I wonder if she does it because she's bored. I wonder if she does it because she just has to.
I just pay attention to stuff like that, and it bothers me. Seeing it, like when I see old people out and they're struggling, they have bags in their hand, it breaks my heart. It just, because I'm like, that could be my mom. Luckily, you know, she has a person that attends to her and does her shopping and all that stuff. It just bothers me. And I know people retire and then they go back and they work. But 9 out of 10 times, it's not because they want to keep themselves active working. There's other things you can do to keep yourself active and on the go instead of going to get a second job. They're getting a second job to supplement their income because the retirement is not enough, or they need more money to live. That's the point. That's the point here. Like, you're not going to sit there and tell me a 70-something-year-old woman wants to go work at Starbucks just for the fun of it. I doubt it. And if you do, I'm pretty sure there are cases that they do, but I doubt it. Not here in America. That lady's working because she need the money, because she can't afford to live probably with. I'm just unhappy. It just bothers me. I don't know. That was just something I observed today that I'm just like, you know, this is crazy. Like, all these.
Okay, listen, she brings up a very valid point. I didn't think about that. Very good point. Like, if you're going to retire and do something because you're bored, it most likely won't be shaking up drinks at Starbucks. Now, maybe it is. Maybe some people, like, listen, you could think of being a barista almost like being a mixologist in a way. So maybe that's something you're interested in. But she makes a good point. Most likely they're doing it to supplement their income, let's be honest, let's see, my laugh is going away because that's sad. If you have to work at 77 as a barista to supplement your income because you have to, that's very unfortunate. If you're doing it because you want to, that's fine. Some careers that come to mind that I think of when people do them for fun after they retire is stuff like flight attendants or stewardesses, right? They do that because they want to travel around and because they've always had that aspiration to fly the friendly skies. And I get that. But, you know, barista doesn't seem like one of those things. Like she said, there's other stuff you can do. You can pick up some chest. I don't know why I thought chest and I said chest, but you can go to different events that older people do. And engage with older folks or people that are around your age and not have to go stand on your feet at 77 for multiple hours per day just to supplement your income. Very valid point that she brings up.